starting inhibitions and programs.
I'm just welcoming everybody and doing a little bounce to the camera. I'm Gayla. Oh my goodness, hello. And Donna's here, and Margaret, and Claudine, and God, we're well represented everywhere. Hi, Ben. And Ed. I could say hello to everyone.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? From as close as Lockhart, Texas, to as far away as the North Shore of Lake Geneva. So we, everyone's here who we have seats for, correct? I don't think there's anything else to do. Just being here is everything. Seriously. It's pretty good. See Joel back there. So to make sure I can see faces. I tell you what, let's do before I ring the bell for us to sit for a little bit. Let's together intone the robe chant first. And with the words and with the spirit, feel the boundless field of benefaction and the way that we're holding each other and the way that we're wrapped in this goodness. And then sit with that. Does that sound good? Yes. Okay. What a great thing to hear voices in the same room.
Vast is the road of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the road of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the road of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being.
I didn't turn on the. Okay, is that offering you more sound back there? Okay, good, thank you. I want to say to the people who are online that as I look this way, it's very easy for me to see all of you, which I'm glad to be able to do. I was saying to several people, it feels like, Peg and I were talking, it feels like I drove home last night and then drove back this morning. Drove back to work, you know, except there were 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years since I've actually been in this building.
Wow.
This is a shock. Yeah, because I haven't been back since I moved. Not in this building. Although I've seen some of you in different places and different things. So with that great abundant blessing, let's sit for a few minutes. Yeah. When you hear the sound of the 3 bells, we're so accustomed to it, you know, as a marker that says we're going to begin a period of zazen. But remember, those aren't just three bells which signal something. They're in response to something. And me or Peg or Joel or Lori or anyone, any of you were here at the bowing mat and had offered incense. You know that that first bell is a bow at the altar, and the second is toward our seat, and the third is, so let yourself feel the entry and that movement from the sacred space of an offering to your sitting in the three bells. It isn't just a sound, it's in response to something. We're not enacting it right now, but when it's in your body, it can be called forward in your body. And that's what Zen practice forms are for. the final few sentences of Dogen's self-fulfilling samadhi, which we sometimes chant or study. He makes a very powerful statement, which I will summarize, not memorize. He says, even if all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, as vast as the number of grains of sand on the banks of the Ganges, put together with their wakeful, compassionate power, attempt to measure the potency and importance of even one person's zazen, they would be unable to do it. Can you feel that? The ordinary human, embodied, and completely inconceivable and unmeasurable merit of sitting here together. Let's recite the refuges. Some of you online might not be as familiar with them, but I think most people here are pretty familiar with the way that we chant them regularly, so allow them to watch over you and fill you. Since we're returning, it's literally flying home. I take refuge in Buddha.
I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. We take refuge in Buddha. Before all beings, immersing body and mind deeply in the way, awakening true mind. We take refuge in Dharma. Before all beings, entering deeply the merciful ocean of Buddha's way. We take refuge in Sangha. Before all beings, bringing harmony to everyone, free from hindrance. Now all being has completely taken refuge in Buddha. Now all being has completely taken refuge in Dharma. Now all being has completely taken refuge in Sangha.
Okay?
Ragweed.
Most of you remember when I would walk into the beginning of inquiry from the back with a little piece of paper in my pocket. So I thought I should bring a little piece of paper. And then afterwards, somebody would ask me for various people. And I will, as I did in the past, I'll bring a poem. And this one came to me just a couple of days ago. I really hadn't prepared very much because I thought it's so powerful for me just to be here in this way that I just wanted to be in the space really and open it up. And there was a young woman, who came as a volunteer at Molokai several years ago. And she had, I think it's fair for me to say, essentially escaped in some ways from a Mormon family situation maybe you heard, she was a very wonderful young woman. And one of her practices was each month she would memorize a poem, and then she would share them. And recently she said, I've found a new poem and I wanted you to hear it. I will, of course, make sure Cassie has it, so she'll post it with a, but I want you just to listen, and I'm going to go through it a couple of times because it so called me to this moment. It's by the very famous and wonderful Brazilian poet Adélia Prado, some of you might know. And this, of course, is the English translation from the Portuguese. I pruned the rose bush at precisely the right moment and left town for days. Having learned once and for all to wait biblically for the time of everything. When I opened the window, there it was, as I'd never seen it before. Studded with buds, some already with pale rose peeking out from between sepals, clusters of living jewels. My bad back, my disappointment with the limits of time, the enormous effort to be understood, all turned to dust before this recurrent miracle. The cyclical, perceptible roses made themselves marvelous. No one can move me from this sudden knowing beyond the edge of reason. Mercy is intact. Billowing greed, pummeling fist, high-pitched fury. Nothing can hold back the gold of corollas or, believe me, fragrance, simply because it's September or October. Isn't that marvelous?
Yes.
One more time. And this time I'll interrupt myself. I pruned the rosebush at precisely the right moment and left town for days. Some people may have not thought it was the right time for either of us. But having learned once and for all to wait biblically for the time of everything, things take time, and sometimes patience and waiting and timing is everything. And whether it felt always appropriate or welcomed or timely, it was what it was, and things issue forth from it the way they issue forth, and that's our practice. I pruned the rose bush at precisely the right moment and left town for days, having learned once and for all, I would say again and again, really, but to wait biblically. In other words, not for the time of everything. When I opened the window, there it was, as I'd never seen it before, studded with buds, some already the pale rose peeking out between sepals, clusters of living jewels. Once again, I walked back into the kitchen, as I'd never seen it before, clustered with living jewels. My bad back, for real. My disappointment with the limits of time. In age. The enormous effort to be understood. Goes both ways. All turned to dust before this recurrent miracle. The cyclical, perceptible roses made themselves marvelous. The cyclical, perceptible online or here, people who care and are willing. made themselves marvelous by your presence. You're already marvelous. But no one can move me from this sudden knowing beyond the edge of reason. There is Zen. No one can move me. This realization, this knowing beyond the edge of reason. It's not reasonable, any of this. But you can live it in a way that it's full of life, just like a rose. And then the most important line of the whole poem, mercy is intact. Look around. Feel it in your body. Mercy is intact. And all around us, billowing greed, pummeling fists, high-pitched fury. No more I need to say. Nothing can hold back the gold of corollas, the gold of our practice, the gold of this practice together. Or believe me, fragrance. You can smell the incense. Simply because it's September. I love that line, simply because it's just like another day. I told Trouty when she came, she looked like that gold. A flower, you know. The poem was in me, and that's what I thought. Isn't this lovely? I take refuge in Dharma before all being, entering deeply the merciful ocean of Buddha's way, we just said. Entering deeply the merciful ocean of Appamada's way, of this way. It's always here. Mercy is intact. I've taken refuge physically in my life in the middle of an ocean. But it's not always merciful. But this one is. And I also want to say, because we just had a jukai, we'll have a jukai here. There's that line that says, you have returned to your original nature, free from attachments and limited ways. From now on, awakening is your teacher. All beings are your teacher. This is the path of mercy for all existence. Now you've returned. This is the path of mercy, returning. And then after, Peg and I would say to you, do you agree to follow this compassionate path of the three treasures? And obviously you did, you've arrived, whether online or in person. Do you agree to follow the compassionate path? It's ongoing, it doesn't end. So I was very grateful to Sis, she calls herself, the young woman who brought the poem to me. Because it was just right, I thought, for today. At least it was in me, and I hope it touches something in you in that way. And if there's something else that it touches, that calls you to meet, then let's do that. We have time to make that walk up to the chair, which we have. That is a long time, And I'm going to remain facing this way pretty much. And then if you will move the chair around, Kim will tell you where to put it.
I probably don't need the microphone.
Huh?
I probably could do it without the microphone.
But those people can hear you.
Well,
it's not about online, it's about
loud. I'm the loud one in the family.
That's okay. Go ahead and have a seat, and he'll get you arranged. But see, if you don't, I don't get to put it on you.
Okay,
And that's actually part of it.
well, I love that.
Yeah. Is she
Mahalo.
situated okay?
Mahalo.
You know what the response to mahalo is? Mahalo is thank you. Aloha kia kua.
Aloha kia kua.
Aloha kia kua, which is a great greeting which includes all the divine. Not just a small thank you, a big gratitude, a formless feel of benefaction.
Of course, Hawaiians would have that beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm at a little bit of an angle, but this is to make sure that everyone
Oh,
can.
I forgot it was.
Yeah, take a look at it. Aren't they beautiful online?
So, Missy and I are thrilled to be in your space. It is just so very special. I'm sure everyone here shares that. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. So this week, there was the passing of a beautiful woman here in Austin. Her name was Marianne Joseph, and she was 92, and she was famous for El Patio, which was the place that she and her husband started 60 years ago, 60 plus years ago, yeah.
Just up here.
And she was almost always there, you know.
Yeah.
And the family ran it, so it was the whole thing.
Yeah, she was part of the Joseph family.
Exactly.
It's been here forever.
Yeah, and her family's from Lebanon, and there's a beautiful obituary about her family. And I'm remembering when thinking about merciful, one of the things was when Missy and I had our mother come up to stay with us when she had Alzheimer's and our dad had passed, and she was living with both of us. And I would find that taking her out was a wonderful thing. And one of the most wonderful places to take her was El Patio, because she liked Mexican food. And
that's old school Austin.
She had been there, and so I would call and find out when Mrs. Joseph was there, who my daughter named Mrs. El Patio. So I would call and ask when Mrs. El Patio was going to be there. It's because towards the end of her life, she was there almost every day, but she would pick the hours that were better for her. So I would take my mother when Mrs. El Patio was there, and she would seat us at a place that was calm for my mother, and she would just kind of watch over us as we were having our meal. And one time my mother had with her iced tea, she had taken the salt shaker and put it into the iced tea, thinking that it was sugar. So before she could take a hold of it, Mrs. El Patio came over and took it away without my mother even knowing. And the dignity she allowed my mother was so enormous. It was, you could feel it in the room. And
Mercy was intact.
She came back with a glass that had been sweetened already and gave it to her and took off the salt off the table and basically, you know, tapped her on the shoulder and gave me a wink that she took care of it. There was nothing that my mother had to feel embarrassed about.
The bodhisattva patio.
Exactly. It's everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
So I went to pay respects to her and was able to write that story for the family because that was over a period of several years that she was our savior of El Patio.
Patron saint.
But it'll allow us to get out and have a chance for my mother to experience what felt like a normal time.
Yes, it sounds like you're feeling gratitude as you also feel grief, as those things move.
Exactly, but I told her family her job is done. She has been the most wonderful worker in this community, old school, as you say. But she, you know, has been a witness to Austin from those days at the beginning to now.
Yeah.
So
today we talk about passings and returns and the cycle, like the roses.
But I just felt like sharing that experience.
Take this on. Gently. Sometimes I get earrings
Okay, well, bigger. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you very much. You can leave the chair right there.
I will.
Be ready for somebody else.
Okay.
When Aaron and I built our one house we built, our next door neighbor and blood from Roger Joseph.
Oh, what?
Yeah, Roger was our neighbor. So.
Oh.
What's it reach?
There was a woman in the retreat in Little Rock last weekend who was talking about her, the edge between her deep Christian background in Arkansas and her profound practice as a Christian, and how she kind of missed some of the ceremony, but not the environment. And so we were doing these ritualistic things. And so when she finished her inquiry, I said, is it okay if I do one thing? Is it okay if I touch your forehead? And she said, sure. So it's, oh, you won't be able to see this. And I said, may your practice be deep and wide and unending. No oil, but an anointing's good enough.
Some little hand grease. I like that better. I just needed to, I feel shaking because this is such a sacred space. And
That's why I thought we should do a blessing.
thank you. I needed it. And I also, when I first started sitting in this chair, I was in my 30s. And now, and I couldn't relate totally to some of these bigger life changes of losing parents, and but now I'm getting there because I'm in my 50s now, and so I'm so grateful that I've had this chair and had all of you for that long. It's kind of amazing, and the poem you read was such a gift, so tell sis thank you.
Yes, I will.
And I think that the idea of grooming, she had to groom before she took off, And I guess I'm thinking about trusting in those roses to keep blooming. I'm not sure, I feel so busy and so focused on my children and my work. I'm not sure I've been able to groom appropriately. And so my question is, for those of us who haven't been able to be here as much as we want, who haven't been able to open up our heart and offer ourselves to Appamada in the way that Appamada deserves, because it gives so much to us. Like, how do we, this life is so busy, how do we keep grooming it so that this stays alive for us?
Like that? Just hold on when we can. Remember the reason Peg and I chose Appamada as the name. It tells you what to do. Mindful, diligent care. Sounds a little, but really it's this. Be kind, reach out to each other. Don't let go. Let go.
And that letting go can be in myself when I start feeling guilty that I'm not here as much as my heart craves.
Right. All of the things that get in the way of our practice, I'm calling letting go. That can even be like leaning in. There's what you let go of is the clear-eyed wisdom and open-hearted compassion that has us go in some other direction. That's what Mara was about. Throw us off. But it's a little easier with spiritual friendship. I mean, you know this quite well. That's what you're speaking to. That's what your tears are about. This is what you long for. And we take refuge because of longing.
There's a lot that can get in the way, though, of...
That's called samsara.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first noble truth. And that's everything. We could say life is characterized by dukkha, is that life gets in the way of life. That's strange. So much can get in the way. And we could talk about all the different particularities, but that doesn't.
No, I know.
But when you sit here, silently together, we hold on to each other, and we look into each other's eyes. You don't have your glasses.
I don't.
Oh, well. The thing about it all fell away. All that stuff all turned to dust before this recurrent miracle.
Okay.
That's what's happening right now, isn't it?
Oh, I feel it.
Yeah. I think of this often. You know, I've said it a million times, but I still remember you sitting on that cushion at Austin Zen Center before Harry was born.
Oh, yeah.
You were pregnant.
Mm-hmm. That was actually with my 17-year-old.
No.
Mhm.
We've known each other a long time.
I know.
Oh, that was Harry.
That was here.
You were here with Harry.
I want to, that poem for me says so much, and the grooming, you know, and how to keep making sure I can come back. Even though I sometimes feel really far away, what I would like to say to everyone, and to you and to Peg and to the space that you all have generously carved out in your lives to offer to all of us, is that I never have lost it.
That's right. You've never gone, even though you feel like you haven't come, but it's never left you.
Yeah.
Good. Then that's our work. If that's true, then that's great.
Okay, and I get that I'm not the only one.
No.
Because of all this time and what you've demonstrated over the years, I want you to look at me. I never doubt you.
Okay. I believe that.
Good.
Okay.
Be strong.
Well, I mean, we can't be here as often as we like either.
Yeah. I'll say.
Yeah.
Here, before you sit down. You're a man of bodily form. It's about. It makes a difference. Yes. It makes a difference to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. I know that. So I didn't want to miss.
For those who don't know, that's a shallow bow rather than a just
Shifu Jim.
or as Ron calls me, seafood. Yeah. I just wanted to sit in the chair because it's been so long since I've sat
Me too.
in the chair. And I have to say, I have done two things, so there is no issue. But when you were talking, we just got back from Barton Springs, and one of the things that I spread ashes at Barton for a friend of mine who was there. And I've had
Today?
Not today, but ever since then, and I know a couple other people whose ashes happen to be there. And all of this is under the table because you're not really
Of course.
interested.
Strings just flow.
Well, they're some are in the springs, some are now in the trees.
Yeah.
But that deep feeling of connection with all of my friends that have passed that are still there, both there physically and emotionally. There's also that feeling here where since we're all here, lot of outdoor work with me here too. That connection that's always there, but it's really, really nice to see everybody.
When I was taking a look around, and I was in the back room and I looked at the memorial altar.
Right.
And John Eric was back there, and I said, wow, there's so many pictures now. And for those of you that don't know, there's a memorial altar with actual photographs of all the Sangha members who have died and people that, it's quite a group, and that's the first time I've seen Cam's picture there. Which really hit me when I went over and saw her picture there.
And they're all in here.
But then, yeah, when Ramana Maharshi was dying, and all of his students were saying, don't leave us, don't leave us, don't leave us. He said, don't be silly, where can I go? But of course, we do feel the drop of the body,
Yeah.
all that. And now, all of those loved ones have to use your eyes and your hands, your body, to love like this. You sit in that chair for everyone. With everyone.
And it nourishes myself. And I just want to do this.
I know, I keep wanting to hold on for dear life, because life is dear, and that's how we hold on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where'd she go?
This is what I wanted, right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is it, and this is it. This is what I want.
These are bizarre, you know, my bizarre impulses that I have sometimes. It's like this everywhere. I wish that you were able, one more time, you know, with Cam, just say, stand up, turn this way, you sit down. I'll have to do it. I don't hear you instead, okay? But rolling her.
I get that.
Okay?
Yeah.
Good.
Wonderful. That is it. That is everything.
That's what I thought. Just thought I would give it a try, see. You know the thing about Shia Suzuki where she has? Do Gassho. Yeah, she has that, but do the Gassho though. See that broken thing? Suzuki Roshi had exactly the same thing. And if you see any picture, it's the same. Somehow channeling. Maybe you should do so you get your handle out.
You can have the earrings. You must collect them all.
That my piercing is all closed up now.
You know who else had that?
What's that?
You know who else had that?
Who?
Sparky.
Oh, that's right. His was a different joint, but you're right, he did. Yeah, Dad. He was, as a young man here in Austin, he was working in a carpentry shop, and they were stripping the little wooden things for the screens. You know, his finger went through. And they set it back on, but it was always.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody. Yeah, get over your glasses. Very nice of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I was a close friend of Mary Ann Joseph's too.
Oh yeah.
When I was in graduate school, I used to live a block away on Fruit Street, and my house didn't have enough heat. So Mary Ann would let me just sit there until they closed and bring me hot tea.
Hey, crackers.
And yeah, saltines.
Saltines, for sure.
And now my sons know that when it's my birthday, you know, we're going to El Patio. Recently, I discovered with Margaret that she's been going.
Oh yeah. Long time.
Yeah.
And none of your buddies passed?
Yeah, so that was kind of tough, and I don't just blurt this out, I don't know, but I sat with Martha in July when she was trying to decide if there was something wrong or not, you know, and encouraged her. And
Just July.
yeah, she hadn't really gone for a scan yet, and I had cancer 18 years ago and lived through it, and so I know a lot of it is, you know, like you've been doing here today. It's not about what you say. It's just being there, and I tried to do that. And then there's sometimes they welcome you or don't, you know, and you don't want to go, hey, I could help you because, you know, you can't say that.
Not about you.
Well, when I first got to know you, and you had you and a bunch of others had that little house by the Oasis, and the social workers, and you helped people with cancer. Remember that? And I've always thought that about you. You know, it's like, oh, it's fun to do that. You know, it's just, it's a wonderful thing to be able to do, to sit with in presence, you know.
Stay out of the way.
Yeah.
And be fully present.
Yes.
Stay out of the
Stay
way
out of
and
the
be
way.
fully present. They seem like.
Yeah. So we all.
That's Zazen. To stay out of the way and be fully present.
That's true in so many things. It's true in parenting and
Yeah.
being a good friend.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's why we practice it here a lot. It's the whole deal, you know?
Yeah.
And you can really feel it in a context like that where you're actually living it. Somebody, it comes alive. And interestingly, how it comes so alive in death.
So I just came up to say thank you for so many things.
Yeah. On my way here, I started in Colorado to do the eulogy for Aaron's mom, whose portrait you took along with the family many, many years ago. So you met her and met all that family.
And Aaron's sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that very young girl, almost really now, is in her 50s. Has 2 grown children. So it happens. I had one of my students when I was back at Austin Zen Center was a woman, where she and her husband both were students over there. They were from Germany and they were in graduate school. And they had a little girl, like 2, and then she had a miscarriage. It was hard on her, and so I helped her with that. And then she got pregnant very quickly and was terrified because she hadn't really recovered emotionally really from but she had a full-term baby, a little boy and everything. And then they came to me afterwards and said, we'd like to name our son Flint. Which was astounding to me. But we did a naming ceremony and everything, so this little boy, the German family was born here, and my parents even stayed connected to him a little bit. The other day I got an email from her in Germany, because they're back there in university and stuff. And she wanted some connection here in Austin. She couldn't remember her, so I gave her that and said, oh, by the way, here's a picture of Flint, he's 15. What? I'm not a parent, so I forget that it happens like that. Wow. And I felt that I'm odd. He's not my son, but still, it's this thing, It's amazing. But if we look closely, it's like that with everybody. This thing.
So nice to still be here with you.
And take that off. Just playing, but not really. But isn't it fun to be in love with people? So you want to be together. And that's really what this is about, It's like there's a way in which, for example, Peg and I do our best to take good care of ourselves, and so that we can continue to do what we do and offer what we offer. And in the meantime, it's completely heartbreaking to have to do some of the things we have to do to take care of ourselves so we can keep offering them, That's what it is.
I think if anything, that's what practice has taught me.
Is don't waste time. Yeah. Don't waste this precious life.
Yeah. I couldn't help but feel a lot like Clayton, overwhelmed watching everybody here, but especially Jim and Robin. I'm sorry if I'm gonna cry.
Please don't apologize. You're good company.
Sitting behind them and watching how much they love each other, being able to witness that. Because
the simple embodiment without words, just
presence, And I see that not just from their care for each other, but I see how that's embodied with Peg and you in your care for each of us. I think about the many times I've had practice discussions with Peg, been very, I'm not a good Zen student.
We've been over this.
She's very patient with me. And how wonderful it is to know that whether or not we stay in this building, this physical place, that this practice that you all have brought to us is with us wherever we go. And I find
it extends
all over the
Oh my
world.
God.
I just want to say a quick hello to Marla. Because hi Marla. And and Donna. I just have wonderful memories of being able to go to the Hui and meet these wonderful friends of yours. But what a practice it has been to come back here and just sit, do nothing else but just sit and face the wall.
Absolutely.
And I am amazed at how hard it is to sit and let all that stuff go around in my head. And at the same time, the unimaginable and unspeakable joy that it brings me to be able to sit there, because I know that not everyone.
While it's hard.
While it's hard,
yes.
So I just
The joy
wanted to
doesn't come
say
because it's
that.
not hard.
Maybe not, I don't know.
I don't think so. I think the joy is always there.
I guess, I know I've had those conversations with Peg about where's the joy in Zen, where's the happiness? And it's like, it is there. It is there all the time. But so often I don't notice it until I'm sitting quiet.
And that's why you sit.
That is why I
Our
sit.
sin is to realize what's always here, not to create it, or to get rid of anything.
Right, people asked me how my intensive was this last week, and I said it was just when I needed to remind me of what's important.
Yeah.
And that is the precious moment. So I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you both. I feel very, very fortunate.
And if you can't see us in any one moment, look around.
Yeah, that is.
Here we are.
So, yeah. It's been a joy to see that guy back here.
Ramesh, I know, it's
Yeah, been a real joy.
from the beginning.
Yes, from the beginning.
Ramesh offered us so much for so long.
So thank you.
And he has a little one to take care of. I see that it's time for us to break our hair.
If you have
To be a good steward of our time. And thank you all who were online and all over the world. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Even though we were speaking here, your presence is holding a larger space, And I hope that the intimacy of this space translated to some of you there and has nourished you. We say in our practice discussion groups, may all awakened beings extend with true compassion their luminous mirror wisdom. And merit and virtue of this meeting and all of our everyday practices extend to all beings everywhere. May all be relieved of suffering, free from fear, longing, aversion, and ignorance. And may the way of awakening go on endlessly. So you're all included in that. You're part of all those awakened beings extending your luminous mirror wisdom. Thank you. So let's say the 4 practice principles to complete our time. Could you move the shirt back a little bit? Opens the energy here.
Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way.
Thank you all. And Maria, will you be able to have a virtual porch today?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
We'll have the other porch here. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Flint. Thank you. And thank you everybody online and everybody in Austin. And it's just so wonderful that we can all come together this way and continue our shared practice. And as you know, in the Zendo, if you'd like to offer dana, there is a dana box in the kitchen.
Thank you.
And if you're online, it's appamada.org. Well, thank you all so much. And if you'd like to continue to connect, those in the Zendo, just turn towards each other. Those online, pop yourself into gallery view and we'll all connect for a further 30 minutes. So thank you all so much. Thank you. It's been wonderful.
Just tell us to reach out.